I want to welcome you to today's session. This is creating your online learning plan. For those who do not know me, my name is Sam, and I'm an academic success coach over in the Learning Commons. And I'm hosting a few of these really quick 20-minute sessions this summer based on creating an online learning plan, time management, note-taking, and then an online study crash course as we approach those first tests for your class. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to offer these in the first few weeks of the semester so you could get off to a really great start here this summer. But you're probably wondering, what is an online learning plan? And I want to go ahead and answer that right off the bat. So once we're finished with this session, I'm going to send an email to anyone who's interested with the online learning plan. And it's something that I hope you'll be able to fill out on your own time. It's something that does not take more than 5 minutes to fill out for each class. But you can think of your online learning plan as being your ultimate guide to the summer semester. I want you to think of the summer as being a little bit quicker than a fall semester or a spring semester. If you think of fall or spring as being 16 weeks long, the summer is actually only 12 weeks long. So you're taking the same classes, but it's condensed into a shorter period of time. You're losing about a month. And then if you're taking express classes, then it's even shorter. You have about 6 weeks to finish your class. So for the online learning plan, think of it as your guide to the summer semester and a really great way to organize all of the expectations for your classes. This is where you can really make a plan, set a goal, and go for it. Have you ever asked yourself before you started a class or within that first week, what is my goal for this class? What grade am I seeking in this class? Or are you going into the class without an idea of these goals? Are you going into these classes without an idea of how you plan to take notes, how you plan to tackle those tests that come up, or maybe when you want to start planning out your essays? The online learning plan is a great starting point for all of these topics. And I think it's a really great strategy for reaching any goal that you set for your summer classes. Before I go to the next slide, I want to point out that we are focusing on the summer semester here, but this is in no way limited to the summer semester. An online learning plan, or really just a learning plan in general, is a really great tool regardless of the semester you are in. You'll probably also notice that I mentioned this is an online learning plan. Although I do realize that this summer we're really expanding our on-campus offerings again. And so this might be a really great way to organize not just your online classes, those 100% online classes, Zoom classes, but also those classes that you're taking here on campus again. Think of this not just as your online learning plan, but just a learning plan in general. You're probably wondering now, why should I use an online learning plan? And I think I've mentioned a few of these reasons, but organizing ahead of time can help you feel more in control as your assignments start to speed up. We're here in the first week of class right now, and so things are probably smooth sailing at the moment. You're probably feeling really good about those classes. You've got a lot of good momentum going into the start of the summer. But as you know, as the semester progresses, things tend to get a bit chaotic. And something that happens when we get busier is we get a little bit more disorganized. If you spend 5 minutes organizing your class expectations, filling out the learning plan ahead of time, you can really save yourself in the long run when times do get tough. Something else that the learning plan is really great for is staying on top of your deadlines and your test dates. Once again, the summer semester is kind of condensed. You lose about a month of class that you would have gotten in the fall or spring. And so you're going to find that deadlines come up a lot quicker. You're going to find that tests are closer together than they normally would be. And so it's really important to stay on top of these deadlines and test dates so they don't sneak up on you. So you have enough time to prepare for those tests, but also you have enough time to really put in your best effort when it comes to your assignments. Another reason to use an online learning plan is that it's a constant reminder of your goals. You might wonder, why am I taking this class? Well, you're probably taking this class to fulfill some sort of requirement for the associate's degree. And by taking this class, regardless of whether it is related to the major you want to go into, it is bringing you one step closer to your ultimate big picture goal. But also, it's a constant reminder of the goals that you've set in place for this class. Remember, at the beginning of the semester, you were feeling super motivated, you had a lot of momentum going in, and you wanted to really reach for that A in the class. Always have that goal in mind, even if it's just a short-term goal. The last reason, and I think this might be the most convenient reason for using an online learning plan and doing this little bit of organizing work ahead of time, is that all of the information you need to know about your class, everything from your professor's contact information to their office hours and how to reach them, to your upcoming test dates, it's all in one place. I know that for each class, it's probably set up a bit differently in Canvas. And so it takes out that guesswork of, oh, where do I find that information again? Or, oh, I checked the syllabus, but I couldn't find it. It might be in modules, or it might have been an announcement, or maybe it's under this tab on Canvas. Do this legwork ahead of time so that everything is all in one place and you don't have to go searching for it later when it's really urgent that you find it immediately. It's a really good idea to go ahead and create the learning plan at the beginning of every semester, and that's why I always offer this workshop first in the summer. It is a really great way, once again, to stay organized, get organized, and start your classes off in a positive way, a way that you feel really good going into week number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, all the way through week 12. Let's take a look really quickly at what the learning plan looks like. As you can see, this is sort of the top half of the learning plan. It allows you to identify right away the class that we're talking about, who you're taking the class with, what are their office hours, and what is their contact information. This is often information that students need when they need it urgently. When they're missing an assignment, or they've missed a deadline, or they need to talk to their professor about a grade. Put it right here on your learning plan so that you don't lose it. You could also, once again, set that goal. You can talk more about how you plan to tackle this class. It features a lot of check boxes for you to go through and select the ways in which you plan to go about this class. And then the second half allows you to list out those test dates, deadlines, the ways in which you want to study for this class, and also an area for you to select resources available on TCC's campus that can help you out with this particular class. Before you get started, you of course want to know, what is your summer schedule? What classes are you taking? The next thing, you'll want to log onto Canvas. You want to locate the syllabi for each class that you're taking, and also make sure that you have the online learning plan Word document handy. Once again, I'll be sending out an email to everyone in attendance today with this Word document, but I'll also make sure to attach it to this video for those who can't join us live. The first area of the online learning plan is class expectations. And these are things that you can find on your syllabus. This is information like, what class am I taking? Who is my professor? What are the office hours for my professor? What is their email address and what is their phone number? You'll also find here how lectures are going to be conducted. I mentioned earlier that a lot more classes are being offered on campus this summer. And so there are a wide array of modalities for your class. Your lecture might be conducted over Zoom. You might have a fully online class. Your professor may provide PowerPoints. There might be recorded videos, or you could be here on campus. There are many ways that your professor may conduct class. And so all of this can be found on the syllabus. Make sure you're checking it out. I know it's usually a joke at this point that you should read the syllabus again. But I promise the syllabus, especially in the first week, is a really important tool for you. It contains a lot of great information. And what you'll do on the online learning plan is select all that apply to your courses. Next, the online learning plan allows you to select your note-taking strategy. So the first question, of course, will be, will you take notes? And I'm sort of biased here. I, of course, am going to say, yes, you should go ahead and take notes. But I know there are students who decide to do things a little bit differently. Ask yourself, if you plan to take notes, how do you plan to take notes so that you can always be prepared? Are you going to handwrite them? Do you have a notebook? Or are you going to type your notes? And there are pros and cons to each of those methods. And you may also ask yourself, how do I plan to take notes? What note-taking style? A really popular one with our college success classes is the Cornell method. You could choose to do the Cornell method, but the most popular, I would say, is of course that outline method where you have your subject header and then bullet points underneath. But there are many options for note-taking. And if you're interested in exploring other note-taking styles, I'm available to work with students on their note-taking here in office, over Zoom, over the phone, and through email. Next on the online learning plan, we'll talk about assignments. What kinds of assignments are you expected to complete in this class? Are there reading assignments? Do you have a textbook? Is it a physical book that you actually have here in your hands? Or is it an ebook, one that you purchase and view online? Your reading strategy would be very different for an online textbook than it is for a physical textbook. Are there any other books that are required for the class? This is typically very common for literature classes. Are there any actual books, chapter books that you need to purchase? Are there PDFs that you need access to? Usually, if that's the case, then you'll have access to them through Canvas. And the same is true for the last one, websites. If there are important websites that you should know, they'll probably be listed in Canvas. Also consider the types of assignments, those daily assignments or weekly assignments that you are expected to complete, aside from reading. And that might be homeworks. You know, these are very common in math classes. You have homework that needs to be completed by the end of the module. It could be a discussion board that you have to complete on a weekly basis. Sometimes there are response papers for classes. It's really popular in psychology classes to have quizzes. You know, check to see if that's something that you'll be taking in your class. Or there could be other assignments that are due. List them all out, check them off on the learning plan. Next up will be the quizzes, tests, papers, and projects. The goal here is to write down all of your quizzes, tests, papers, and projects. For example, Unit 1 test, Unit 2 test, Unit 3 test, or papers 1, 2, and 3. And you want to go ahead and list out their due dates and deadlines right there on the learning plan so that you do not lose track of them and you do not lose sight of them. They're always going to be at the forefront of your mind. The second step of the learning plan is to make your game plan. You've sort of listed out all of the expectations for your classes, you know, who's your professor, what class am I taking, what work am I expected to complete? But now you have to sort of come up with a plan for yourself. You want to set a goal for yourself. And here on the learning plan, you can ask yourself, what grade do I want in this class? After the first week, you may have a good idea of whether or not the class is going to be an easy one for you, or if it's going to be a little bit more challenging. Ask yourself, what grade do you want in this class? And how well do you believe that you can do in this class? Go ahead and set a realistic goal based on a few things. How much time do you have to put into this course? And then how much effort are you willing to put into this course? On the online learning plan, there is a drop-down box where you can select. Do you want to get an A in this class, a B in this class, or a C in this class? Because I'm truly hoping that there's no one out there that's hoping to get an F or a D in the class. And if this is the case, if you feel like that's sort of where you may fall, then there are certainly resources out there that I'll mention in just a couple of slides that I hope you will take advantage of as we progress through the semester. Next, we will select your study plan. So how far in advance do you plan to start studying for a test or starting a project or writing a paper? I always recommend for studying for tests that you go ahead and start at least thinking about your study strategy 7 days in advance of the test, and then really get into that study time at least 5 days before the test. And then with papers, particularly for those ENC 1101 and ENC 1102 classes, you likely have smaller assignments before the big paper is due. And these help you along the way to write the larger paper. Go ahead and make that plan. Make that dedication to it now, because oftentimes if you make that dedication, if you promise yourself something, and if you commit yourself to something ahead of time, you're more likely to follow through, especially if you write it down or tell someone about it. Your study strategy may contain any of the following here, and you want to go ahead and select all that are going to help you study. You could go out and purchase actual flashcards or note cards to have those physical note cards. This is great for many types of classes, ones where memorization is key. I know that flashcards are really popular in humanities classes, but they're also a really great tool for science classes and math classes as well. And you could choose to use physical note cards, or there are even some great websites out there that allow you to create digital or virtual flashcards. Also check out to see whether there's a study guide available. And this may be something that your professor sends out to students or provides to you through Canvas. But if that's not the case, then you may actually be able to create your own study guide. Ask yourself ahead of time, what questions do I think my professor is going to ask? Were there any parts of the lecture where my professor said this is going to be on the test, or this is really important, make sure you listen here? If so, those are probably going to be things that are asked on the test. You can create your own study guide and go from there. It's also really popular for there to be practice tests, especially in math classes. And if so, definitely take these and mimic the test environment as well. If you know that you're taking, say, a Zoom class and you'll be taking a test through HonorLock at home, make sure that you're taking that practice test under the same limitations. It might be that you have an hour to complete the test. Go ahead and set yourself a timer for 60 minutes. Sit down in the room you plan to take the test in, make sure that you're free of distractions, and go for it. Try to take that test as if it were the real thing. Your study strategy, particularly a reading strategy, could be the SQ4R method. And I want to provide a video to everyone with how to go about the SQ4R method. I'm going to go ahead and link it here. But also something else that you could do is set up a study group over Zoom. Set up a study group, limit it to less than 7. So 6 should be the cap there, because it can get pretty disorganized from there on out. But I think this is a highly underutilized method for studying. Or there could be another way that you plan to study. There are so many. And I want to also link to you here other study materials and resources available through our Academic Success Coaching website through the Learning Commons. Last but certainly not least, I want to make sure that you know about the resources that are available to you here at Tallahassee Community College. If you are having trouble with your classes, I hope that you'll reach out to the Learning Commons. Tutoring is still available in person, but it's also still available virtually. We offer it in both methods. And it's really up to you how you want to seek out that tutoring. And our hours are very flexible. Monday through Thursday, we're open from 7:30 in the morning until 7:30 p.m. And then on Fridays, we're open from 7:30 in the morning until 5 p.m. If you need tutoring support outside of this time, either really early in the morning or really late at night, or on the weekends, then I highly recommend using Smart Thinking Online Tutoring. And this is a platform that you can access through Canvas. Success Coaching is another resource that I hope you'll take advantage of if you're struggling in your classes, but even if you need help brushing up on some of the success skills that could help you out in these classes. I mentioned that I'm available to help with note-taking, but I'm also available to help with study skills or test-taking skills, online learning skills, test anxiety, understanding the expectations of your class, and also with filling out this online learning plan. If you need support in absolutely anything, time management, that's another example. Please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is going to be on the final slide. In some classes, you may be asked to conduct research, in which case the library is going to be a really great resource for you. There is an Ask a Librarian tool to speak with library staff, but if you use the research guides for your particular class, you can set an appointment with a librarian who can help you conduct that research. In addition, there are some other resources to help you out this semester and every semester. The Counseling Center is still holding virtual individual counseling appointments and group sessions with students, but it's also open here on campus. So if you feel like you need counseling support, it's free to TCC students. Please feel free to reach out to the Counseling Center. I'm going to provide their contact information here. And then lastly, the Advising Center. If you feel like you need to meet with an advisor for absolutely any reason this summer, you can meet with them online or over the phone. The Student Union is also open this summer, but you can set up an appointment with your assigned advisor through Workday using the TCC Advisor Connection icon, or you can check in to ask a quick question using EagleQ. If you have absolutely any questions this summer or moving forward, whether it's with filling out your online learning plan, getting organized, or staying motivated, you can contact me. Once again, I've provided my email address on this slide here. It's sam.deserga@tcc.fl.edu. But you can also contact me through phone here in the office. My phone number is 850-201-7810. Thank you for watching this presentation.